The Integumentary System, otherwise known as the skin, by Michaela Bess. The skin is composed of two layers, the orange representing the dermis, the red representing the epidermis, and the brown part representing the visual layer of your skin. First, we will discuss the epidermis. The epidermis is composed of epithelial cells and can regenerate itself or grow new tissue if it ever becomes injured. The epidermis is composed of four layers: the stratum germinativum or basale, the stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, and stratum corneum. Unless you're talking about the palms of the hand and soles of the feet, which includes a fifth layer, the stratum lucidum. The deepest layer of the epidermis is known as the stratum germinativum or basale because it is also known as the basal layer. The stratum germinativum has stem cells that are attached to the underlying dermis. They also have spider-shaped stem cells known as melanocytes, which produce and secrete the skin pigment melanin. Melanin is responsible for protecting the cell nuclei from ultraviolet radiation from the sun. The ultraviolet radiation can cause damage to DNA, which will lead to cancer. The second layer of the epidermis is called the stratum spinosum. The stratum spinosum is produced by the division of the cells in the stratum germinativum and the cells being pushed up. These cells then shrink until the cytoskeletons stick out, which causes the spiny appearance. The third layer of the epidermis is the stratum granulosum. This layer has a grainy appearance because it has 3 to 5 layers of flattened cells. These cells stop dividing and start producing a tough fibrous protein called keratin, which gives cells protective abilities. The fourth layer of the epidermis is the stratum lucidum. Although the stratum lucidum is only found in thick skin such as the palms of the hands and soles of the feet. The most superficial layer of the epidermis is the stratum corneum, which is the exposed surface of the skin. It contains 15 to 30 layers of cells and it protects the skin and is water resistant. The dermis of the skin is composed of strong and flexible connective tissue. It is also supplied with many blood vessels and nerves. It contains 2 layers. The top layer is called the papillary layer. The bottom layer is called the reticular layer. Underneath the skin is a layer known as the hypodermis. Technically, it is not a layer of the skin. It is composed mostly of adipose connective tissue, and it anchors the skin to underlying structures such as muscle or bone. It is also called superficial fascia. The skin has many functions, some of which being protection from UV radiation and anything else that may damage the skin. It also excretes water, salts, and organic waste. It maintains body temperature and stores vitamin D. We will talk a little bit more about vitamin D. The body uses sunlight to produce vitamin D, but there is also a substance found in cells called cholesterol that also helps produce vitamin D. The vitamin D that was converted from cholesterol is called cholecalciferol or vitamin D3, which is a form of vitamin D. Sweat glands. Sweat glands are located all over the body except for the nipples and genitalia. There are 2 types, apocrine sweat glands and merocrine sweat glands. Apocrine sweat glands are composed of fatty acids and proteins. They are common in the armpits and external genitalia regions. They open into the hair follicles and are odorless unless they are decomposed by bacteria. The merocrine sweat glands are composed of water, salt, and urea, also known as true sweat. They are everywhere in the body except for the armpit and external genitalia, and they open at the skin surface. The body has many reactions to heat. The body's way to absorb heat is known as heat capacity. where the attraction of positive and negative bonds on atoms occurs and creates a hydrogen bond. Then a hydrogen and oxygen atom combine and make a water molecule, which then are excreted by sweat. One of the ways in which the body gets rid of heat is known as insensible perspiration, where interstitial fluid is lost by evaporation. Another one is known as sensible perspiration, where water is excreted by sweat glands.